On Wednesday, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is expected to face tough questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee in his hearing to become Donald Trump's next confirmed Attorney General. It's not the first time he's appeared before this committee. He faced a public grilling for his confirmation as Deputy Attorney General, and he made one point abundantly clear then.
I couldn't agree more that politics should never play a part in the Department of Justice. It's simple. Politics will play no role, full stop, period. Political prosecution should never happen, period. Outside influence in the Department of Justice cannot happen. It just can't. And if it does, then that is not a righteous, that is not a just prosecution, period. When we are prosecuting cases, civil or criminal, we have to simply do the right thing. It can't be because of politics.
Well, I've got your commitment. There will not even be a whiff of an investigation that appears to have a political motivation to it.
I commit to that.
Wow. That senator you heard at the end there is Republican Thom Tillis of North Carolina, who still sits on the committee. He, along with Senator John Cornyn of Texas, are the only two Republican members on the committee who have at least expressed some reservations about Blanche's confirmation. These are two men who are also leaving the Senate. Just recently, Tillis again brought up the same concern that he questioned Blanche about last year.
I've got a positive predisposition towards Blanche, but if there's even a whiff of a lack of independence, then that could influence my vote. But right now, I'm confident in what we see with Blanche. If we can address these distractions that have to get off the table before his confirmation, particularly the 1776 fund.
Of course, since Blanche became the acting attorney general, there have been countless actions taken, providing more than a whiff of political motivation and lack of independence coming from Trump's former defense attorney. But given that Republican lawmakers kowtow to Trump, does it even matter? Joining us now is 18-year DOJ veteran Stacey Young. She is the founder and executive director of Justice Connection. And former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, MS Now legal analyst and professor at the University of Alabama School of Law. Thank you both for coming to the weekend. Joyce, let me start with you. With the Todd Blanche confirmation hearings kicking off this week, what are you expecting to come out of this?
Well, I think we all are concerned that Blanche will be confirmed despite the very obvious reasons that he shouldn't be. And look, Jonathan, I was at DOJ for 25 years. I was hired during a Republican administration. The Justice Department that I served in and that Todd Blanche served in was not a political place. He made those promises during his confirmation hearing to be the deputy. He said he wouldn't let political considerations enter the calculation at his Justice Department. And then he did exactly the opposite of that. And look, it's so bad that just yesterday there was reporting that the White House had hauled Kash Patel in to order him to open an investigation involving the New York Times reporting on the plane that the president has been flying in, provided by a foreign country. That's not how the Justice Department should operate. It's concerning that Senator Tillis, even in late June, said he had a lean toward Blanche. That suggests that perhaps these senators who should be persuadable may not be. So the important thing this week will be watching how Blanche answers specific questions. Why did he sign off not just on the slush fund that we've talked about so much that appears to be off the table now, but that incredible document that gave Trump and his family forgiveness for past tax violations, seemed to insulate them from future investigation, as well as the revenge docket he's overseen, the Comey prosecution and others, and on into the way the Epstein files release was mishandled, protecting predators, protecting perpetrators, and disclosing information about survivors. Blanche has a lot to answer for, and he should not be confirmed.
Stacey, you are the founder and executive director of Justice Connection, and a letter came out, 1,200 former DOJ officials urging the Senate to reject Blanche, just as Joyce Vance said just there. I'm going to read a little from the letter. Blanche has fired or overseen the firings of hundreds of these employees, usually without notice and for improper, unlawful reasons. Some were terminated for having worked on cases the president didn't like, for being relatives of the president's foes, for adjudicating immigration cases in accordance with due process, for declining to initiate vindictive prosecutions, or for refusing to lie in court. These terminations violate the very civil service statutes designed to prevent corruption and political purges. Well, Stacey, when you put it like that, it doesn't sound too great. So what are you hearing from these folks? And frankly, do they really believe that this Senate, who followed Donald Trump at his every whim, is really going to stand up on this issue here?
There's a lot of concerns about the future of the civil service at the Justice Department. More than 16,000 career employees have left already. That represents a quarter of all of the attorneys in the Justice Department. And Todd Blanche has overseen nearly all of them. He's been responsible for just about all of them. He himself has personally fired DOJ employees for flagrantly illegal reasons. And the attacks on the department need to stop. As anyone who's ever worked there knows, the career workforce is the backbone of Justice Department. It represents 99% of the workforce. They're the ones who do the work. They're the ones who keep our country safe by prosecuting violent crime, by investigating drug trafficking, by countering terrorism and espionage. They keep us prosperous by enforcing antitrust laws. They protect our fundamental freedoms by upholding civil rights laws. That they keep our elected officials honest by upholding public corruption laws. And the workforce is being decimated. This needs to stop. Todd Blanche took an oath to uphold the Constitution, not to be loyal to the president. And until we see a course correction at the Department of Justice, its future is in danger.
Joyce, I do want to get back to the Thom Tillis of this all, because that statement that we read, that he has a positive predisposition towards Blanche, but that even if there's a whiff of a lack of independence, that would influence my vote.
The whiff's there.
Exactly. I mean, how many times have we already heard Todd Blanche cross those red lines when it comes to independence and the way that he views his relationship with Donald Trump, saying explicitly that he takes his directives from the president? I mean, when we're looking at the numbers here, I believe that Blanche is able to lose up to 3 votes from Republicans, and with a tie-breaking vote from J.D. Vance, still get confirmed. Lindsey Graham is no longer voting. We don't know yet if Mitch McConnell is going to be showing up to work this week. Is there going to be one GOP lawmaker, at least anyone that you have sort of an inkling of, that you think is going to vote against him? Because I don't think it's going to be Thom Tillis.
You know, this is a difficult question. It should not be a difficult question. The Senate is full of lawyers, people who can look at the way Todd Blanche has behaved and know that it's wrong. And so the real question, I suppose, that we're discussing is whether any of them will find the courage in the moment to do the right thing. And unfortunately, and as painful as it is to say this, I think it's unlikely that they will, right? This nomination would not be coming to the floor if there was a belief that some of these senators were put off by the way that Blanche has behaved. You know, remember, this is Todd Blanche who actually responded to a question by saying that if the president didn't pick him, he would say, "I love you, sir." Just the level of kowtowing to this president is unbelievable. This is Donald Trump's former defense lawyer still acting in ways that inexplicably protect this president. This Senate was part of the Congress that passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, requiring disclosures that have not been made. Todd Blanche played the leading role in preventing those disclosures from happening. In a normal world, that would be enough to prevent his confirmation.
Stacey Young and Joyce Vance, thank you so much for breaking that all down for us.